What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Wednesday, February 4th, 2026, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now it is 15:39 Eastern Time here in the United States, and I wanted to update you guys on the latest with Iran. So Spangdahlem Air Base in Germany, that's one of the major American and NATO air bases in Germany, has shifted to round-the-clock operations amid the situation with Iran. A NOTAM posted for the air base confirms the base is open 24/7 due to tempo and advises aircraft planning to divert to coordinate ahead of time. Okay, so here you can see the NOTAM, and it says ETAD is currently open 24/7 due to tempo. If you plan to divert, let us know so we can coordinate if required. So this is huge breaking news, guys. Spangdahlem is a major strategic airlift base in Germany, and so basically what we're doing is we're funneling all of the weapons and air defenses through Spangdahlem down to the Middle East, and they're running 24/7 now. And here we have a clip of Trump from MSNBC yesterday saying that the leader of Iran should be very worried. Let me play this for you.
Should the supreme leader in Iran be worried right now?
I would say he should be very worried, yeah.
Should the supreme leader in Iran be worried right now?
I would say he should be very worried, yeah.
Should the supreme leader in Iran be worried right now?
I would say he should be very worried, yeah.
So there you have it, guys. And we're hearing some very concerning news coming out of Russia. The Russian Navy transmitted a strategic broadcast using VLF, very low frequency, on 18.1 kilohertz, where the length of one radio wave is 10.2 miles. This is done solely and exclusively to reach submerged submarines. They transmitted a coded message in FSK Morse code. The message read RDL 46809000084, and they repeated it 3 times. So this is a VLF message. VLF allows communication underwater. We use it as well to communicate with our submarines, so that is very serious. And right now we have a U.S. presidential doomsday plane airborne out of Strategic Command Headquarters in Offutt Air Base, Nebraska. You can see it's currently flying over Colorado and heading west, obviously related to the situation with Iran. And if you don't know what a doomsday plane is, that's where the president and the defense secretary go during a nuclear war. They can command the entire U.S. military from the air. We also have a nuclear war command and control plane airborne over Missouri. It did this huge loop over New York and then came back. And then we have 2 B-52 strategic bombers over Louisiana right now. And here you can see that massive airlift operation ongoing right now as I'm recording this. You can see these C-17s here going down from Germany to the Middle East. Okay, so this is a round-the-clock operation. It's non-stop. Okay, so this is not going to be some small operation if they're moving this much equipment. And then we had a C-5 Galaxy fly from Fort Bragg to Rota, Spain. This is very significant. This was last night. And Fort Bragg is home of the Green Berets, the U.S. Special Forces, the JFK Special Forces school. This is basically one of the Tier 1 units in the United States. And a C-5 from there went to Rota. Now, Rota is a well-known bomber and fighter jet base in Spain that the U.S. uses. So it's a strategic base in Spain. And this plane, the largest U.S. military cargo plane, flew from the Green Beret base to the bomber base in Spain. This is huge news. And then here you can see more C-17s going back and forth between the Middle East and Europe. And then here you can see about a dozen F-15 Strike Eagles and several A-10 Thunderbolts on the ground in Jordan. These are U.S. aircraft. This satellite picture was taken on January 25th. I'm sure there's even more over there now. And we do have U.S. nuclear codes being transmitted this afternoon back to back. You can listen to them live in my live stream. And following heavy pressure from leaders of Arab and Muslim countries, the U.S. has agreed to hold talks in Oman on Friday with Iran. So there were some interesting conflicting reports this afternoon. Some reports were saying that the talks were canceled for Friday because of the drone situation yesterday with the drone that was shot down, and also because the Iranians did not want to talk about anything besides the nuclear program. Well, now we're hearing that the talks are still scheduled in Oman, but they only want to talk about nuclear. They don't want to talk about missiles or proxies or anything else, which the U.S. said they would not have talks with them if it was just about nuclear. They want to talk about everything. So a lot of conflicting reports coming in about these talks. Some sources saying that they were canceled, some saying that they're still planned for Friday. Regardless, I think we could see a strike on Iran as soon as this weekend. And two sources briefed on the discussions told the Jerusalem Post that Iran insisted talks be limited strictly to nuclear issues, while the U.S. pushed to include ballistic missiles, proxy forces, and other topics. And Israel requested operational freedom from the U.S. to conduct military action against Iran, according to Israel's state broadcaster Khan News. Interesting. And sources in the know on the details of last night's meeting between Witkoff and Netanyahu claim that Netanyahu made it clear to the U.S. Special Envoy that if the U.S. does not address the ballistic missile issue, whether by strikes or talks, Israel will handle it by itself. Wow. And Iranian state television canceled the broadcast of a new underground missile complex, which was scheduled to air tonight, citing national security and military considerations. Wow. So Iran is scared to show their new underground missile complex. I wonder why. And Netanyahu's press office announced that tomorrow there will be a security cabinet meeting. Okay, so guys, if they're having security cabinet meetings, that means it's about to go down. Okay, because remember last Friday, the Israeli chief of staff, Zamir, met with Dan Kane, the American chief of staff, the top generals of Israel, and the U.S. met already on Friday. Okay, so now Netanyahu's going to be holding a security cabinet meeting tomorrow. So that is big news. I think we could see strikes this weekend. And the Israeli defense establishment is preparing for the possibility that the Houthis could resume missile and drone attacks on Israel if the U.S. strikes Iran, according to Khan News. In recent days, Chief of Staff Major General Ayel Zamir has held focused discussions on the Houthi threat and directed the IDF's Deep Command to prepare and update the target list in Yemen in coordination with military intelligence and the Air Force. Wow. And we're hearing that Friday may be Iran's final chance for diplomacy before a possible strike, according to a source cited by News Nation. So this is Iran's last chance. If they don't talk, then they're definitely getting bombed. And we're hearing that Trump is insisting on 4 demands from the upcoming talks if they do occur. Renunciation of the nuclear program, halting the ballistic missile program, ceasing all funding of proxy groups, and proper treatment of protesters who participated in the anti-regime demonstrations. And Axios is reporting that Israel is now ready for broad action against Iran with or without support from the U.S. So guys, Israel's going to act on their own, okay, regardless of what Trump decides. And U.S. officials told Axios it's really the Israelis who want a strike against Iran. Trump is just not there, and he really does not want to do it. So that's pretty interesting. And an Iranian official told NBC News on Tuesday that if there was a new war with the U.S., it will be much bigger than the 12-day war last summer. And according to Radio Free Europe, Iranian militias across the Middle East are expected to join the fight and back Iran if U.S. President Donald Trump follows through on threats of military action. And what you're looking at here is the flight path of a British recon drone that was patrolling this area of the Eastern Mediterranean off the coast of Israel. Very unusual. And Ukrainian President Zelensky announced Monday that Ukraine would be designating Iran's IRGC as a foreign terrorist group. And Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said today that the world is heading into a more dangerous moment as the New START treaty, the last nuclear accord between the U.S. and Russia, is set to expire tomorrow. If you're not aware of the New START treaty, it was signed by Obama, and it capped our warheads at 1,500 warheads and 700 launchers for them. It really neutered our missiles and our nuclear weapons. So we'll see if Trump renegotiates a new one, but my thinking is he probably won't, and basically that's taking us back to the Wild West days of the early Cold War era. Russia says it has not received a formal U.S. response to its proposal on complying with START treaty limits and assumes the treaty's obligations no longer bind either side after its expiration. Moscow warns it is prepared to take military technical countermeasures to address emerging threats, but says it will act responsibly and remain open to political and diplomatic solutions to stabilize the strategic situation. The Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs criticizes the U.S. for leaving their initiative unanswered, calling Washington's approach mistaken and regrettable, and says U.S. public statements show no clear willingness to honor START limits. Russia says its future policy will be based on a careful assessment of U.S. actions, while noting that despite its flaws, START helped curb the strategic arms race and fulfilled its core purpose. Okay, so very interesting. I don't think Trump is going to sign the START treaty again because he said he wants the defense budget to be $1.5 trillion next year. So clearly, if he's going to be investing that much in defense, it's probably going to include up-arming our missiles that were stripped down because of the Obama administration and the START treaty they signed with Russia. And German intelligence reported that the Russian military spent 250 billion euros last year. That's insane. And Trump spoke by phone with Xi Jinping earlier today. Wanted to just read to you the readout from the phone call. Xi emphasized that the Taiwan question is the most important issue in China-U.S. relations. Taiwan is China's territory. China must safeguard its own sovereignty and territorial integrity and will never allow Taiwan to be separated. The U.S. must handle the issue of arms sales to Taiwan with prudence. Wow, so Xi warning Trump, don't sell arms to Taiwan because Taiwan is part of us, and that's the most important issue in U.S. relations with China. Wow. So let me read to you now what Trump said in response to that. Trump said that both the U.S. and China are great countries, and the U.S.-China relationship is by far the most important in the world. I have a great relationship with President Xi and a lot of respect for President Xi. Under our leadership, the U.S. and China are doing well in economy and trade. I want to see China succeed. The U.S. would like to work with China and make more progress in bilateral ties. I understand how China feels about the Taiwan question. I would like the two sides to continue talking to each other and keep the relationship in good shape during my presidency. So interesting. And what you're looking at here is a British recon plane that flew into Poland last night and throughout the day today, it was looping around Kaliningrad and into the Baltics. And according to my buddy KLW World News, some of you guys may know who he is, he was tracking about half a dozen NATO aircraft over Poland this afternoon, which is very unusual. And he says it's the most NATO aircraft there ever has been over Poland at one time. And then also there was the nuke sniffer that flew into the Baltic earlier this week, and it did a back and forth pattern flying really low. And this is what Dmitry Medvedev posted on Twitter earlier today. He wrote, "That's it. For the first time since 1972, Russia, the former USSR, and the US have no treaty limiting strategic nuclear forces. SALT 1, SALT 2, START 1, START 2, SORT, New START are all in the past." Wow. And then finally, yesterday, we had an F-35 that declared an emergency off the coast of Okinawa for some unknown reason. But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I might be back later on tonight with a live update around 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Hope to see you there. And in the meantime, follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is in the description down below. And take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere. And this update was sponsored by EMP Shield. Guys, EMP Shield has created a special discount just for you, the listeners of the NYPrepper channel. If you go to empshield.com and use the promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And why do you need an EMP Shield? Well, this is a special device to protect your vehicle, your RV, your solar generators, your radios from an electromagnetic pulse, which could be caused by a solar flare or potentially a rogue country like North Korea detonating an electromagnetic pulse weapon over the United States that's mounted onto a satellite. So protect your vehicles, protect your RV, protect your radios, protect your generators with an EMP Shield. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off. Installation is super simple. This is a veteran-owned business, 100% American-made, and the EMP Shields have been tested by the military, okay? And free shipping is included to the entire continental United States. And the link and the promo code are in the description below this video.